Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
We are back, and this is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. And the second, an interview with an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. I really hope you enjoyed last week's interview with Judy Fox. She's the personal talent manager to a lot of horror stars. Kane Hodder, who played Jason Voorhees. R.A. Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. But before we dive into this week's movie, I have to introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching adventure, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Doug. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. And now I'm going to be honest, I didn't hit record. We actually started recording this without actually recording this. So we only got a few minutes in, so it's not too much spoil. But so Jamie, what'd you think of the movie?
Well, as I said before, you know what? I wanted to hate this movie so bad. I hated Son of the Mask, another sequel without Jim Carrey. So, and being a Jim Carrey fan, I knew that he was not in this movie, and I wanted to hate it so bad. I was dreading watching it. I told my daughter, I really don't want to sit through this right now. But I got to tell you, with not even 5 minutes into the movie, I laughed, and I think the movie was way better than I expected it to be.
Yeah. And for people that didn't watch, listen to last week's episode, not know what the movie is, you might be thinking like, oh my God, is this like, what was the movie that he couldn't tell a lie?
Liar, Liar.
Was there, this is a movie I never knew about, you never knew about. Is this Liar, Liar 2? No. Is this, what is it? Yes Man? No,
Nope.
This isn't Yes Man 2. This is Ace Ventura, Pet Detective Jr. And this movie, Josh Flitter, a local Jersey guy, he starred in the movie. And next week, I had the opportunity to interview him, and he was awesome. He does improv in New York City. Really funny kid. And for a short, early young acting career as a child star, he worked with Robin Williams, Bill Paxton, and he was number one on the call sheet like pretty early in his career. But yeah, you're right. This movie, not that I wanted to hate it, but right off the bat, Son of the Mask had nothing to do with the mask. The only thing that was the same is the mask. This, at least we had a lot of things that did tie into Ace Ventura.
Yeah, and it's funny. And even though I know it's Junior, but not until like maybe 10 minutes into the movie, I wasn't sure if this was Jim Carrey as a kid, or if he's the son, because they don't mention the father, they don't mention Jim Carrey at all. So I wasn't too sure, which direction they were going in. But I got to tell you, the kid grew on me. He's a funny kid, and I don't like a lot of kids starring movies. I've seen a lot of them with my kids. But this kid has a lot of adult humor to him. His mannerism, the way he speaks, and I actually laughed out loud in like two scenes that we'll talk about. That I think the kid did a great job, because if it wasn't for him and if it was a different actor, I don't think I would have liked the movie.
Yeah, he crushed it in the role. He went back and studied the mannerisms to a T. Like we're going to mention it, but he quotes some of the lines that you know and love from the first two Ace Ventura movies, and he crushes it. And one thing that's really funny is one of the stories, and you guys can look it up on YouTube. He worked with Robin Williams in, I should know the name of the movie, the one with Mandy Moore and John Krasinski are getting married. I'll look it up and tell you guys in a second.
He plays a priest?
Yeah. Yeah. License to Wed.
Yeah.
That's the name of the movie. So he plays an altar boy in the movie, and he's in a lot of scenes with Robin Williams, so they work together a lot. Robin Williams, in the middle of an interview with, I think it was Larry King, in the middle of the interview, started talking about Josh and how, for such a young kid, he's so mature with his humor. And Jay Leno, he was a guest on Jay Leno a few times. Josh was. He was on Jay Leno, like a young kid that's 8 years old, and just absolutely crushed it. But yeah,
well, if you could star in a movie with Robin Williams, who's one of the greatest improv actors, maybe of all time,
totally,
and you can go toe to toe with him as a kid, you got some talent, So yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, let's start this off. The first thing I have to mention, did you catch what his middle name was?
I did not.
It was Irwin. Steve Irwin.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
What, they said that in the beginning, or
It was like pretty early on. They said Ace Irwin Ventura, but yeah. So when was the first time you laughed? Was it when he's chasing the rat with the churro?
no? The first time I laughed was when he goes to see the girl for the first time that he likes. We'll get there, but yeah. But do you know who the mom is?
Yeah, Cusack's sister.
Yeah, has she been in anything else? Because I mean, you have Joan, you have what's his name?
John.
John. I never seen her before, but she obviously looked just like him. But,
I know. No, she wasn't in much. Like when I saw her, I'm like, man, it's definitely like a sibling.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie starts off with Ace Jr. showing his love for animals, like his dad. And he's chasing the rat, and he sees this rat. He has him in a corner, and the rat's like going for cheese. This is what I don't get. So right off the bat, I've really enjoyed this movie. Josh, I'm serious if you're listening. I've really enjoyed this. But you have this long churro, and you bite a piece off of it, and I thought he's going to bite it, spit it, hit the trap, then the trap is disabled. He jumps and uses the churro to hit the trap. He actually took length off of his churro reach.
Now, did he eat that piece?
He just spit it out, I thought.
Okay.
See, I mean, he ate it.
Yeah, I think he ate it. And again, he definitely was not. He was a portly kid. I mean, and they make jokes about it throughout the movie. Getting stuck in the locker and everything else. So I think that was just a food. I don't know, maybe a food thing. I think he might have ate it. I don't know. I thought when he bit it off, he was going to do some kind of grenade thing, like he was going to toss it or I don't. I couldn't figure out what he was doing, but that was funny. I mean, he does a lot of running. I got to tell you, he did a lot of running in the movie.
He did run a lot. There was a lot of there was definitely a lot of running. So we mentioned Ann Cusack. She works at a zoo, and she mentions, I don't know if it's right in the beginning or a little bit later, she goes, Ace, I got this job so you can be around animals. It's like, come on, you do your career choice just to keep your kid happy, I guess, because you're married to Ace.
Yeah, but don't forget, I mean, he's a weird kid. I mean,
he is a little weird.
He is, and his mom tells him, I want you to be normal, not so weird. And I mean, the kid eats out of a dog bowl. I mean, so it's not like she knows she doesn't want him to be like his dad, but she knows that it's in him to be around animals. So I think that's why she's a zookeeper. So at least he could be around the animals, but he doesn't have to do the the sleuthing that his father did. Because again, they don't mention the father for a while.
They don't mention for a while. He tries to say a little bit about it, not in the beginning, but she's like, no, I don't want to talk about that. And then his mom says, you're forbidden to help people with animals. And then he's in school and he's like, be normal. Ace, be normal. He's writing in his notebook. And then he just hears everyone in the school, which we'll find out later why, but everybody in the school is like, oh my God, I lost my pet. And I love that the goth girl, she loses her pet skunk, and its name's Breezy.
Yeah, they weren't the most normal pets. I mean, you had
I know.
A skunk. Yeah, it was very weird.
The swim team, which I don't know how old would you say Ace Ventura is in this movie?
Well, he you know what? They might have been seniors. He might have been a freshman. Like he was smaller than everybody. He was, but he's not a tall cat. No,
I know.
Yeah, but how old was the guy that lives in a locker? I mean, he was small. So I think, either he was just short for his age or he might have been like a freshman and that swim team looked like maybe a bunch of seniors.
Yeah, those girls were a lot bigger. They look so much older than him. Like some of those girls look like they were 18. I think he was 12 when they filmed this movie. Like 12.
But their pet was what?
That was a crocodile. It was
an alligator, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Alligator.
Okay. So that makes sense.
Yeah, that's safe. So the director of this movie also directed Sandlot. And there's a lot of times in the movie that you see these regular Sandlot actors and lines. There's a lot of Sandlot lines.
Did he say Smalls? Did he say line?
Yeah. He said, "You're killing me, Smalls." And the leader of the Fish and Wild game, that guy.
Yeah,
he was the guy that played Babe Ruth in Sandlot.
See, I saw that movie a long time ago. I haven't seen it in a while. It was actually on TV last night.
Yeah.
But I remember the Smalls came because he has a bunch of one-liners. So I guess did we get to? I mean, I was laughing. One of the parts I was laughing is when he had the sidecar on his bike.
Oh, with this
the dog.
Oh yeah,
and he's wearing goggles and a helmet, like the helmet and goggles, like what?
And he's repeatedly trying to take them off. The dog is not comfortable.
But he's even wearing the goggles. Like, do a lot of kids wear goggles? Like, when they're riding?
Maybe he's going pretty fast.
And not for nothing, I've never seen a sidecar before. I mean, you've seen it in the movies, but have you ever seen a sidecar?
Not in real life. I don't think that's a real thing in real life. And maybe they showed in war movies too, like in the Great Escape.
Yes.
And what? They never actually. Yeah, that's not a real thing. And you got to think this kid is like, nobody likes him. Really, nobody really likes him. He's the nicest guy. He spends all his time looking for people's pets. The wrong pets he brings back. But the one part that really made me laugh. So the goth girl, her skunk named Breezy, he thinks he finds it, and him and his dog turn around and fart on it, and it causes the skunk to pass out.
Well, I wasn't to get to that. The kid has a farting problem because he farts throughout the movie at least 4 times. Okay, and not even sometimes they're not even necessary. It just as he's walking by, you hear a fart come by. So like he definitely has a farting problem.
Well, he eats out of a dog bowl, so he probably just throws whatever he can in there. But no, and then I love that his love interest in the movie, she loses her
fish.
Her fish Greenie, I think it is.
Right.
And he really he likes her, so he wants to find it. He prints out, I don't know, thousands of pink signs, and when he goes to her house, the signs are just littered in the neighborhood.
Well, you remember how they're littered though?
No.
He throws them off a balcony, off the roof. And like he throws them all at once and they're flying all over the place.
Oh my God.
So that's why they're littered over. But what I laughed out loud. My daughter didn't want to watch the movie either. And so she had her headphones on and then we started watching it. But when he's walking up to her door and he's talking to the dog and he's like,
yeah.
What, you don't think I have the guts to talk to her? You don't think you trust me, I'll talk to her. And as soon as she opens the door, he goes, "Oh my God, you're pretty." Like he couldn't control himself. And I was dying. Just the way he said it was very funny. It was very natural, and he just like blurted it out. I was laughing. It was very, very funny.
That was funny. And then a few minutes later, like we talked about it already, he kills it as like his ace mannerisms.
Yep.
But when he says, "Well, did you call the fish? Did you call the koi fish? Did you call it?" And I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Is he gonna start just talking in the air? And when he puts the water in his mouth, and he's like, "Greeny." I choked on my seltzer. I was sipping at the same time. And that was really funny. And him and his dog both in the white outfits, like Ace had on in the first movie when he was in the dolphin tank. Now that was good, man.
Yeah, and then he spits it out and he goes, "Yeah, your fish is not here."
Oh my God. And then right after that, I think his mom knows that he's looking for pets.
Yep.
So she asked him to start trying different things, and he's like, "Oh, I did that before." And when the montage of him trying the different sports, the two that I wrote down that I really laughed at was when he belly flopped off the diving board.
I wrote that down.
And the spelling bee, the spelling bee, the girl before him, Pretty, and then his word was like, I don't know, some ridiculously long.
And every letter in the alphabet and like 25, So then he decides to spell pretty also.
And he does like a little curtsy. No, he was hilarious.
No, he also played basketball with like people that are like 10 feet taller.
Oh, yeah. He put the ball up and it was just like, 5 black hands like blocking it.
Yep.
All right. So this is a lot of these movies we do. There's just like really, I guess, bad decisions, budget decisions, but why? I understand they wanted to maybe use China in this movie for some reason, so they have to use a panda. But dude, can we talk about the panda costumes?
Okay, I wrote that down. The worst costume really ever. I mean, and they had all this realistic. I mean, even the alligator looked real. Like they had that costume looked like someone standing on the outside of a Chinese restaurant handing flyers out. Yes. That's what it looked like.
It made Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 look good. It was that bad.
It was bad. It was really bad.
And then when the burglar was running away with it, it looked like a panda, like that somebody would win at like a county fair running away. It looks so bad.
I'm surprised because I think they could have done a better job with that. Yeah, that was rough. I wrote it down.
Yeah. And then I think it was the very next morning because maybe his body knew he was going through the changes. It kind of reminded me, obviously his dad wasn't around, so it's not the same thing, but it was kind of like Teen Wolfish.
Yep.
Right? It was like when he looked in the mirror and his hair was in the big flip.
But so it happened when he was brushing his teeth, he puts his head down, then he lifts it up and all of a sudden it had the Ace Ventura hair, all of a sudden, like he didn't wake up like that.
I know.
Yeah. And did he ever see his father? Like I know he never, there were no pictures in the house. So I wonder if he ever saw his father. Like, did he know what was happening?
Well, he finally does later in the movie. We'll get to it when he opens up that chest.
Right.
But no, there's no pictures in the house. But yeah, again, I think it's if we like watch back the Teen Wolf scene, I think that's the same thing. He's like brushing his teeth.
Yep.
And he looks down, looks up, and then I love. We're talking about a different movie here, but
the way his father looked.
Dude, his father looks like a bear. Like. He looks like a really like friendly bear that you like slap. Oh my god! But anyway,
so I wonder what he was thinking, like because he put a hat on, so he was embarrassed about his hair. But like, did he have any clue that was he matching it to his father, or he was just like, I'm having a bad hair day, like
maybe the sex ed isn't good in that school, and he thought he was going through some serious shit. I don't know.
True.
But dude, and I love the Fish and Wild game. Have the SWAT team like bust in, kick down doors. They guns blazing for a panda thief,
Yeah. And that guy looks familiar. The main who he's in a lot of movies. I mean, I know the main guy that he keeps pulling the patches off.
Oh, that's the guy that played Babe Ruth in Sandlot.
He's in something else though.
He's in a ton. No, he's one of those guys. He always plays a cop.
Yeah, he's always a side character. But that's another part that always made me laugh. That every time he's there, he pulled something else off.
Oh, I know. His clip-on tie. Yeah, no, he just kept doing that.
And the fact that he's arguing with like a 9-year-old, like that he's constantly in a battle with this one 9-year-old,
and they're good. Like this, those interactions like made the movie. They were so great.
Yeah.
So she's getting arrested, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta go, and I'm gonna call your grandpa to come watch you." And what? No, grandpa's on a cruise. And it's like, no, your other grandpa. Dude, this guy made the movie. Like, I honestly, we talked about how much better this was than we thought. This guy crushed it.
You know who he is?
No.
I had to look him up. So the only movie, I looked up briefly when I saw it, though. He was in Cliffhanger. He played Frank.
Oh, my God, yeah.
He's Frank in Cliffhanger.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. Frank in Cliffhanger was the helicopter.
He was the older guy, right? He was the pilot.
Yeah,
that was him.
John Lithgow shoots him, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't think. Well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for nobody that saw Cliffhanger in 1994. That's a great movie.
Is there a sequel?
I hope not. So Grandpa Ace, his lines are great. He says the Ace lines like an old person would, and he gave 110%. He dove in and he said, "Alrighty then," like really slow, like
an old person would say it.
Yeah, it was awesome. And his dog, dead dog, questionable.
Okay. We're not going to jump into that yet, but yes, his questionable dead dog that he's dragging all over the place.
And when Grandpa, I think that dog's dead, and he goes,
"Not sleeping."
Dead dogs don't get dinner. He tried to feed him, and the dog wouldn't take it. And I love when he goes, "How? He's 12 in this movie then." He's like, "How old are you now? 84?" He goes, "Grandpa, I'm 12." He goes, "Oh, I did it in dog years."
So yes, he is Ace Ventura's dad.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Dude. And then when he goes to the room and he talks about like, I love when he goes, so are you a pet? And he's like, solver or whatever. They use it word every time.
Well, no, I think his mom, someone else, maybe his mom said it. His mom said, or someone said it early in the movie, and he was waiting to hear it, and then didn't say detective. So the grandfather did say detective.
Did he say it? No, I think he said it later on.
Are you sure?
I don't think he said it right here because he didn't want to. He's like, I already said too much. I don't want to tell you more about your dad. No, it was a swim team girls go, what are you, some kind of pet? and he's like, finder person.
Okay.
No, the grandpa says it later on because this is the part I wrote down here. Ace's room, when he goes, "Oh, are you finding animals? You know, like your dad did, or are you looking for animals?" And on the wall, it was like a serial killer. It had the string on, it was like pins in the animals' heads, and there was string everywhere.
Well, he also had, I think, the girl that he liked, right? Wasn't that?
Yeah, she was. Oh, yeah. And he even said like,
and he goes, "You obsessed much?" And he was like, "Yeah, ignore this, ignore that."
You know what? I might have already. Maybe you're right. Maybe that is the time that he says that, because the next thing I have in here, I wrote the Ventura Family album has a lot of famous people. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
Yeah, so he does say it because someone else said it before, or maybe the girls, and he was waiting. So he had the same look on his face when his grandfather started saying it, and then he said it, then he got excited. And that's when he gave him the history of all the people in time that were Venturas.
Yeah, one was a famous explorer, and and they just added Ventura to the end.
And they all had the same hair.
Yes.
So the hairstyle hasn't changed since the 1700s.
Yeah. It definitely sticks with them. But it was funny. It was like, this wasn't it, but it was like Marco Polo Ventura. I'm like, oh, come on. They could have maybe like found some kind of, they should have done baseball player Robin Ventura.
Well, it started with the Darwin. I think the first one.
Oh, yeah, Charles Darwin Ventura.
Yeah, because they had like the monkeys, and then they had Ace Ventura, the pitch.
Like walking, like kind of funny.
And the Jim Carrey Ace Ventura as the last,
Yeah.
As the Homo sapien.
I must say that the Ace that was holding the baby looked nothing like Ace Ventura. They could have had a guy that at least had the same body type. I know it's probably like a $50 role. They could have had a guy it looked like a totally different, like.
There's so many people that could have easily. I mean, look at Saturday Night Live. They did the Ace Ventura, or the Jim Carrey,
family reunion. Yeah,
right. I mean, and you know what? At some point I'm thinking like, all right, maybe he's gonna show up at the end or show up at some point. Just to show his face for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but
he doesn't. No, I get it. Like, I get why people like why do something for nothing. Like, why help out? But I don't know. Again, I'm not in his position, but
well, what I don't understand is Ace Ventura was an adult movie. I mean, I know kids saw it, but it was aimed for adults.
Oh, yeah.
And so now you have this kid movie that, what if a lot of kids didn't go see it, which maybe this is, I mean, I don't know how much money I don't know if it was direct to DVD.
It was.
It was, okay.
Yeah.
So, but how many kids really knew Ace Ventura? Cause I'm sure they were thinking like, maybe we have a franchise here. Maybe we can make another Ace Ventura Jr., more. But I'm assuming it didn't do well. But maybe because a lot of kids don't know Ace Ventura. It wasn't an adult, kid movie to begin with.
Yeah, there was, when I talked to him, because there's not much online about it, it was supposed to be in the theaters, and then budgeting, like the company that was the backers didn't have enough, so Cartoon Network bought the rights. So then it was a Cartoon Network movie, like straight to that. But he said that they planned to make it multiple movies, but it probably just didn't get enough viewership.
Sure.
But
okay.
Hey, you're right. Like when I was a kid, like why? Like I wanted to do a podcast when we talked about this. Like for some reason, all these like VHS tapes that my dad would get from like work, garbage man, people would always toss out sequels because I had Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls. I know that movie more than the first one, so I watch it all the time. And there were so many jokes going back. I'm like 8, 9 years old watching that, and he's in the rhino and he's sticking his finger out the butt, and like I'm like, oh man, that's so great. It's like now looking back, like it's like that was And a lot of sex jokes that would come up, but
yep.
So we find out that the panda in the movie, when Ace wants to go talk to the panda at night, it understands English. It seems because he says, I don't have my mom right now either, and the panda sounds like a dolphin. It sounds just like the gopher in Caddyshack.
Well, again, don't forget, Ace was able to talk to animals. I mean, he does.
Oh yeah,
and he does have some way of communicating with his dog. I mean, that
is true. Yeah,
there must be something in their genes that they can understand the animals that so he probably did talk to the panda.
That is true. Yeah.
So, but he also he also growls like a dog.
Yeah.
He eats out of the bowl. I mean, the kid definitely is a weird kid.
Oh no, he's just like him. Yeah. No, it's great. So,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say we're now the part that I've written down next is we meet his friend. Well, his soon to be friend, A plus.
Was that before he started searching on his own? Because I wrote down him climbing the wall. Do you remember the wall he climbed? So I thought it was right after the grandfather told him who he was. So now he's like, all right, I'm going to do my own research.
And yeah. He climbed the wall.
That's shorter than him.
Yeah.
And and again, he's and that's where he goes to the bear again. That's when he finds the footprint.
Oh yeah. That's when he figures out that it's not. Yeah. Right. No, and the dog uses the door.
Yes. Yeah.
He says, I wall. Yeah. And then he talks to the panda. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And then I think the next day in school, he's like, I need help. So this kid, A plus, who before we find out, he's running around with a cell phone that it looks like a cell phone, like a tracking device, a GPS that tracks bullies. It says bully alert, and it has like bullies. So we find out he chipped them by feeding them gummy worms. That's pretty illegal. And the kid has his like own Real Genius-ish like lair. So if you remember in Real Genius, they opened up the door, and then it was like
in the closet.
Oh yeah. And this, it was a locker, and the kid had like a ginormous like lair. He almost reminded me, maybe that's why they had him have glasses and be skinny. He reminded me of Ace's buddy in the first movie. Manhattan Clam Chowder, the guy that was like, yeah, that weirdo guy. Hey, Ace.
Your school didn't have a locker that went down to a lab like that?
No, I didn't have that.
Oh, okay. I must have went to a good school. Well, yeah.
My parents, when they were looking for schools, they were like, "Do you have a room that goes through a locker?" Oh yeah, we do. We're going here.
Well, at first Ace couldn't find him because I guess he needed to use him for something. So he's being chased, and he hears his voice coming from the locker. Yeah. And then Ace tries to go through there, and this is what I was saying before. He gets stuck, of course. I even said to my daughter, I go, "How is he going to fit in that locker?" And he couldn't make it through. But yeah, he's got his whole lair in the basement. Who is excited actually to see Ace because he doesn't really talk to too many humans.
He doesn't. Yeah, he has no friends. So the next kid that we meet, and it seems like it's always like this in like kids movies, Little Rascals. There's always like that rich kid, and the kid's pretty douchey. He's kind of effeminate. He's feminine. A little bit,
A little?
Pennington Jr.
He's from a TV show my kids used to watch, iCarly. He was on there.
Was he one of the main kids?
I don't think he's one of the main kids, but he played a similar role. The douchey, like, rich kid in there. So he does that well.
He wasn't the True Green kid that used to take his shirt off?
No, it wasn't a True Green kid. No. Is that a plug? Did we get a sponsorship for that?
I hope so.
So now is okay. So is this before they're on the bikes and that I have something like the seeing eye dog, but he's facing backwards. Do you remember that?
Oh no, that's when they go to the museum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we didn't get there yet.
Well, no, just before that, the only thing I haven't written down is when he goes up to. This is the one part about the writers of this movie. They were really about what was like viral about that time and like older, like adult jokes. So you watch a lot of these kids movies and there's always like, oh, I get that now. So in this one, when he goes see Pennington Jr. has like a red carpet going to the lunchroom, which just makes no sense. And there's like these big bodyguards in suits.
Oh, this is the line to see if they are invited to the party.
Yes. And the one little black kid somehow on his iPod gets the invite. It was just so stupid because he just saw Pennington Jr. So he probably would have known if he went or not. Maybe he was handing out iPods and then you know if you went or not. That'd be terrible. But at least you get an iPod.
Right.
But no, the one guy, they grab the kid to take him out. They grab Ace Jr. to take him out. And he goes, "Don't tase me, bro." Do you remember that video? There was a kid that was like on acid, and he took all the furniture out of Yeah. This line comes up another time later, which is insane. But yeah, so the dinosaur museum. Where were you with the dog?
Well, so they also meet up with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
with a girl that he likes, and she agrees to help him. And then the nerd gets all excited because the girl's talking to him, and he's like, "Can I call you my girl friend?" You remember?
Yeah,
So anyway,
yeah. No, before that, he goes, because this is like how dated this movie is. He's like, "Can I move you like an AOL Instant Messenger?" He's like, "Can I move you from my friends to my close contacts?" And she's like, "No." And then he's like, "Can I put you in my MySpace top 8?" And she's like, "No." Like all those like in things.
yeah, for the time.
Now, not even relevant.
He was a funny guy though. He was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
So, but they were. I guess they're trying to go incognito. I guess to get there, or like
Yeah.
what? And he has the dog. I guess the dog was facing backwards, and they said, "Oh, no dogs allowed in here." No, he was in the backpack. He was in his backpack, right?
Yeah.
And so they needed to go in there because I guess they had to use a scanner or something or the computer. And so the guy goes, "Oh, there's no dogs allowed." And Ace Jr. said, "Oh no, he's my seeing eye dog," and the dog's facing it backwards. I thought it was pretty funny when he said it.
I love that guy. Is such a dick. The museum guy. He seems like he hates his job, or he got passed up for a promotion. He goes, "It's the most complete T-Rex structure in the world, and it's worth $100 million. So don't touch it." And Ace's dog took a little piece of the foot, and the whole thing collapsed.
It wasn't a little piece though; it was a big piece.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like a piece of like the foot or something.
But yeah, the whole thing collapsed. Like
the whole thing just goes, and then Ace's girl. So he's causing the distraction. He starts running away, and I thought this scene was great when he's running away from the security guards.
now that was all at a museum, correct?
Yeah.
It seemed like it was like an obstacle course. There were like so many different ins and outs, and you don't see anything but just like these like ramps and like walkways and like. I was trying to figure out where are they running to, like no expeditions or anything, exhibits. I mean,
There was I guess they anticipated a lot of lines because no, you're right. And the best was he was going so slow and he used wheelies, which are another like trendy thing back then. And while he's doing that, causing a distraction, his girlfriend, quote unquote, she is like stealing. She's like plugging in to be able to get all the information off that scientist's computer who used to work for Pennington Jr.'s dad, who they think might be behind taking the panda. So the worst part is when he's going so slow in the wheelies, which are like rollerblades for people that don't remember them.
Or I think the proper terminology is heelys.
Ooh, heelys. Yes, you're right. So wheel in the heel, wheelies. So yeah, or heelies. So yeah, no, he's going so slow, and the guys just can't catch him. They're running into each other, falling on the ground.
Now, let's not forget that he's about 5 pretty large security guards and like one short fat kid, and they can't catch him. Yeah, and they can't catch him.
Yeah,
no offense to anyone that's a young fat kid, but they can't catch him. I mean, he's ducking and dodging. He's, they're tripping on each other. They're, yeah.
But we did get a nut shot and a fart gag because he farted it once again.
That was fart number 3, by the way.
Fart number 3.
Yeah, fart number 4 is coming.
It is coming. So, if you remember the girlfriend, first half of the movie, we're about halfway point. She had braces. She doesn't anymore. Did you realize that?
No, I did not notice that.
It was so weird. I don't know where I'm like, wait, dude, she had braces. So I paused it. I go to the beginning. She had braces, so I don't know.
That is funny.
I guess her dentist is like, hey, you got to take these things off now.
You know what? I wish you had, noted we saw that and noticed it, and you could have mentioned it to him when you had the interview.
Yeah. You know what? I did watch it before I talked to him. I just didn't, because we're pausing a lot and we're going into it.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
So
now they're in court.
But she has Heelys too. We'll add that in, but I don't know. There wasn't really much to it. But Court, right off the bat, do you remember a joke they said? Adult joke?
Go ahead.
So I'll break it down. So he goes into the court. He has a wheelbarrow and he pours sand down, right? Or dirt?
Yes.
And he has like shoes that he has that can be used to cause the panda footprints. And they talk about the depth, and his mom weighs. Oh, that was pretty funny too. Yep. Mom, how much do you weigh? She's like 110. And he's like, Mom, be serious. She's like, okay, 130. But no, and then he goes, if the footprints don't
Oh yes,
fit,
yes.
then you must acquit. So these writers are using like Johnny Cochran OJ jokes.
Yeah, and you know what? I wrote down, he's a pretty sharp kid. I mean, like in real life, because
Oh yeah.
he had a lot to memorize in that scene. There was a lot that had to flow out. He was ramble on, like sort of how Jim Carrey speaks fast, in a lot of his movies.
Yeah.
And I thought I was very impressed the amount that he had to memorize and just because that was a big scene. And then after like he kind of proved them wrong, I wrote down he said something like, "Wow, that must have hurt. It's going to get worse." Like he was just he was so cocky in there. Like he owned that courtroom.
Oh yeah.
But that guy was against him. The wildlife, like he was just totally, totally didn't care what he was saying.
Now they had a great like back and forth. Like yeah, it was good. So then obviously it didn't work. His mom's still in her bail was like $500,000.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is pretty serious. So then she finally tells him like really quick about
Well, but before you get there, he farted in court. That was so that was number 4. Just wanted to put it out there.
Number 4.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I think she was actually already on like the prison bus.
She was going on the bus.
Which I guess there was a lot of inmates that day. Because she was in the back of the bus.
Yep. And she hands him the key.
Yeah, that was when he gets the key, yeah. So would you say that, again, if they made another Ace Ventura, it's not like they have to go to this movie and be like, hey, we have to make sure we keep everything perfect and use a kid. But kind of shitty that they killed him. Well, they didn't kill him because they didn't say they found his body. But just the fact that they mentioned that, why couldn't they just be like, he's on an expedition?
Yeah, I know. I didn't like that. Again, I thought it would have been cool to have even someone you could have had with the haircut and showed him from the back. Like his dad and having the Hawaiian shirt on, like, and without even showing his face, like just showing him there, like that would have made a big difference. I think a lot of kids would think it's really him. I think that would have been a better way. We could talk about that at the end of the movie, the podcast. But I agree. I mean, the whole story, and they really didn't even go too much detail. I mean, they gave a detail, but they really didn't explain it that much.
I guess because they knew that they weren't going to have him to be in it, so they didn't want to elaborate too much. But you know what? They could I know we talk about it at the end when we talk about things that would work. But if you remember, in like 2.5 Men, the last episode, they were like, "Oh, all the buzz before the last episode was like Charlie Sheen's going to come back. Charlie Sheen's going to come back." And then they showed like a shadow of him or like the back of him. Yeah, they could have done that, like a back of him,
right? Like
getting ready to like pick him up at school, and he's like, "I got to go" or something. I don't know.
No, I agree.
But so, oh no, it is this part. I just wrote it. I'm looking at my notes now. Yeah, so his grandpa, this is where definitively, just because I do my notes in order, where his grandpa calls him a pet detective. He opens up
before he goes upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he opens up the chest and it's like an Ace Ventura Halloween costume. And he says, "Alrighty then." Then we hear "Ace is in the house."
Yeah,
by Tone Loc.
Tone Loc for the first movie. Yep.
Yo, tell him where he's at, my brother.
Oh, dude, and you hear Jim Carrey's voice is in that song.
Yeah.
So, like, dude, that's pretty cool.
I have the soundtrack, so that I had it when it came out. So yeah, that's Jim Carrey doing the Tarzan. In the beginning of yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
It was, and that was a good throwback. And you knew the minute he had that key and his grandfather said to go upstairs, you knew what was in that trunk.
Oh, I know.
I knew it was a Hawaiian shirt and the pants, and yeah. And that.
I was gonna say, I wrote down here, that lady in the car sounds like a robot, and then it says, "Have a meow-tastic day." What the hell is that from?
I don't know.
Oh, I know what it is. I wrote car. God damn it. So I meant to write cat. No, remember when they were like, "Oh, I think I figured it out." The person's like stealing like famous animals.
Yeah.
So they think if they're gonna steal like maybe the knockoff Grumpy cat. So that lady has a cat, and every time somebody came up, the cat didn't sign an autograph, but the lady signed it and then said like, "Have a meow-tastic day."
I don't know. I don't even remember that part.
No, that's when when they see the scientist goes, he like, "Oh, free the animal.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
free the animal."
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Now I remember.
That's the second time you hear you're the
Yep.
fart counter.
Yep.
I'm the don't tase me bro counter because he says that to the cops that are chasing him down.
Well, is that the part when he also says "stranger danger"?
Yes.
When he was,
Yeah.
that's another throwback, wasn't it? Like from the.
Oh yeah, that was like an ad campaign. I think
Yeah.
like in the 80s or 70s.
Now, is this a scientist that he was on his computer and then he was in a Speedo?
Yes, with because he loves all the ugly endangered animals, like the eye for Madagascar. The I forget the name of the one fish, but it's ugly.
I have to be honest; those were the ugliest animals I've ever seen.
Oh, they are. Yeah, that's why yeah. And then him in the underwear are super creepy. And why are they getting in the car with him?
Yeah, I know.
Can we talk about that? That's weird. Just absolutely weird. So Ace, remember he's going over all the famous animals that are stolen, and he goes back and they have another good back and forth with the Fish and Wild game guy.
Yep.
And when the girl, he mentions a bunch of famous people like Freedom, it was like the fast food eagle or something weird. So then the girl says, Snuggles the bear, and he goes, Snuggles the bear? He like gets really serious, the Fish and Wild game guy. He's like, but clearly, like these people don't know from the commercials, Snuggles is clearly an animatronic puppet or something. Dude, that's not a real animal, right? Like, that's like if they were like Tony the Tiger was taken, they'd be like, oh my God, somebody took Tony the Tiger. He's a cartoon. Oh, Jesus.
Well, up until this point in the movie, I'm thinking the wildlife guy is there's something with him.
Oh, dude, I wish I thought he was it.
Right. I mean, I think they try to aim towards that. So,
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but
spoiler, he didn't do it. So they're tracking a stolen pony, which Ace used. He fed it a gummy worm.
The gummy worm. Yep.
And that was pretty funny. He's like, the magician's like, okay, so who wants to come out and be a volunteer? And all these people are raised there. He's like, me.
He's standing in front of him. He's not even sitting in the audience. He's like standing right in front of waving his hand, me.
Yeah. And then they're like, get that kid. Because they did the trick, and it was like a $6 million horse. And the horse like just didn't come back. And they're like chasing a little kid. Like that little kid had something to do with it.
And he's running again. And he does more running. And it's funny, when after that happened, I wasn't sure what was going on. Like I didn't realize that I know he pet him and he fed him. I wasn't thinking the gummy. I'm like, all right, what's he doing? Like I thought he was trying to take the horse. And then when they did the magic trick and he was there, I'm like, I still didn't understand what was going on until they started tracking him. I'm like, oh, what an idiot.
So they have to go to the rich kid's house because they think the pony's there. So this is where he uses the line, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Well, before he says that, he goes, "Holy shack," to the big guy. He goes, "How many times have you gone through puberty?" And then he goes, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Oh, that's great. And then the old scientist guy is in the car, I think, and they're talking about going to a party. He goes, "I haven't partied since '99." A Prince reference.
He also said, "Pick on someone your own size, Sasquatch."
And then, if you're wondering, is there a political joke in this kids' movie? There is, because the dad makes a joke about socialized healthcare. Don't worry, what's going on? Why is there a joke about socialized healthcare?
Yeah,
maybe nowadays that would work, but I don't know if that was something talked about back then. But the dad was a super douche too.
Well, you know who he is, right?
No,
isn't he the guy from Transylvania 65000? Ed Begley Jr.
No, that wasn't Ed Begley.
Are you sure?
Seriously, no, I know Ed Begley.
That looked just like him.
It's not.
All right. Well, it looked like
Ed Begley does some. No, he doesn't do a lot of bad stuff. He does a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, well, but I could have sworn that he looked very familiar.
No, it does look like him, but it's not.
All right. We'll have to question that one.
You can look it up.
I'll look it up later. All right, go ahead.
So the kids as like gifts, and they're upset about it. The one kid's like, "Oh, stock." I forgot what company it was. It was like Amazon or like it wasn't Enron, but it was like some ridiculous company. And the girl's like, another Rolex. Like, what? Are these kids rich too?
Yeah, by the way, I just quickly looked it up, and he wasn't in anything that we've heard of. So it definitely wasn't Ed Begley Jr.
It was not Ed Begley.
They look like him, though.
So then the next thing I have written down was so right now, like Ace is like trying to look around the house. So he thinks he knows like there's animals in there, but he doesn't have anything. The fish
I
and
laughed at this one
wildlife
part
guy.
coming up. I hope you're going to mention it.
No, tell me, what do you got?
When he was flipping down the hole, when he was doing and there was this one hallway, he does this ridiculous like tumble soul. I don't know if you remember, like it was a view of the lawn before he starts knocking over all the stuff. He does this ridiculous flip. Like, I mean, and that it's something that you have to visually see. And my daughter and I were cracking up because it looks so ridiculous. You when you get a chance, rewind it.
I'm sure the sound effects were added in though.
Oh, of course. But the last flip he does, it just looks ridiculous. And that's when she goes, "Why are you flipping around? What are you doing?" Like, like.
That's so great. And then I know he like thinks he smells animals, and then the fish and wildlife game guy goes there. And then Pennington Sr. was like, "Oh, I was playing golf with your director the other day," and he's like, "Oh yeah," and then he takes his hat off and he's like starting to kiss the guy's ass. So then he goes Plan B, and the creepy scientist and A, what's that kid's name again? The nerdy kid, something Easy A, or gotta have it written down somewhere. Something A. Plan A or God. But anyway, it's Plan B, and they use kind of a quick
A+.
A plus. So A plus and him are in his weird like electric car, and for a second I thought they were going to do it, kind of like an homage like Cusack.
Yep.
When he gets out of the car, he doesn't say anything, but they don't like. It'd be great if he had the jacket on the same way, but so. They're playing Panda Mom calling for its cub.
And they're running around with the boombox.
Yes.
Around the house, trying to find an area where because they have no idea where the panda is going to be. And again, security can't catch them.
They cannot. And those are pretty big dudes. He called one Sasquatch, the other one Shaq, puberty multiple times. Yeah. And these guys who are hired to be security guards cannot come close.
Now, I don't know if this has happened before or after the poop jokes. Do you remember? He does about 10 poop jokes in a row, and then she finally ends with enough of this crap. Like, you remember? I forget why they were. He literally ended with like a stinky poop, or every line was a poop joke for like 10 in a row, and he's like laughing. And then at the end, she ends it with enough of this crap. You don't remember that whole?
Oh,
thing?
Was this? No, I don't remember.
It was around this time. It was after he was flipping down the hall. Maybe he found something in the
something poop related,
or
butt related,
and literally there's about 10 jokes that each sentence ends in some kind of poop or crap or something, and he one after another, and then she just ends it with, "All right, enough of this crap." You have to watch it. Go rewind it again when you can.
I'll have to rewatch it again.
It is a very funny scene.
But yeah, so Ace, because like the sounds that are coming, and the Pennington Senior is like, "Don't go into that barn," and he opens it up, and it's like every animal, and he names all the animals of the kids that got taken, and so it was Pennington Jr. He stole all the animals, and then he acts like, "Oh, do you know who my father is?" And I think the kid takes his shirt off, or like he takes his jacket off to like throw it away.
Yeah.
And Ace Jr., before he goes up there, he says, "Come to me, my jungle friends," all the animals that are in the stables. And again, great line from Ace Ventura when he's standing there and all the animals are like hanging off of him. So he takes the koi fish out, Pennington Jr., inside, and he throws it into the crocodile? Was that crocodile?
Correct.
Throws it into his mouth. And Ace, along with some young kids, the young kids hold the crocodile's mouth open.
And he jams his arm in there.
Huh?
And he jams his arm in there.
Yes.
To reach out for that.
And he pulls out. Do you remember what he pulled out?
A menorah. And then they say Mazel Tov. So I was wondering, like, of all things, like they could think of, like, pull out of this alligator. Why that? Like,
maybe the writer was Jewish.
I was gonna say there has to be some kind of underlying joke there. That's something you could have asked the kid, because that, to me, like, that's such a bizarre thing.
I know.
Like, really, that's such a random thing to be pulling out of an alligator. I mean, there's so many stupid things you can pull out.
I know.
If you told me that, they're gonna reach into this alligator and they're gonna pull something out, I think the last thing I would ever think of would be a menorah.
Yeah, I would think maybe like a golf club.
Give me a boot or something.
Yeah.
Something stupid. Ham sandwich. But a menorah. It would be the last thing you would think of.
And the attire.
Yep.
But yeah. So then they get the fish out. He saves the day. And when they throw the fish, who saves it?
The dead dog.
The dead dog.
He's no longer dead.
That was honestly, that was like an M. Night Shyamalan twist. Because honestly, because we never saw the dog upright.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was the same dog. Like I saw Grandpa, but I didn't put two to two together.
He pulls that dog everywhere. I mean, dragging it. So you think that dog is dead for sure.
Yeah.
But sure enough, he saves the day.
He did save the day. And then I don't think there's too much left. The last thing I have is when Ace starts high-fiving all the Chinese officials. All the Chinese. Well, he has his moment with the girl. Did he kiss the girl at the end?
I think she kissed him on the cheek.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was big for him.
Well, it's Cartoon Network. You can't go full on mouth, But yeah, so he's like high-fiving them all. And then they show the freaking panda again. And seeing that panda, like there's not even a question. It's not like I look at it and I go, is that somebody in a suit? No, it's someone in a suit.
The last note I wrote down, the bear really was the worst costume I've ever seen.
Oh, ever.
That was the last note from the movie. So I'm ending the movie with that costume.
Yes. Well, the movie ends with, all righty then.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Ace Ventura, Pet Detective Jr. And so first, before we break down ways that it could have been better, which I think for what it was great, would you recommend people to watch this?
Yes. I would recommend it if you're a Jim Carrey fan. If you do like the Ace Ventura movies, it is silly humor. So you have to go into it knowing that it's a silly humor. It's a great movie to watch with your child that you can get some laughter out of it. There's a lot of kid movies today that, I'm bored to death, watching my kids. But this is something that you'll actually laugh at some scenes. So, I think it's definitely watchable. I'm disappointed that they still made it without Jim Carrey because, again, it's Ace Ventura without Jim Carrey is not the same. But I have to give this kid props. He really did a great job for what he was given.
No, I have to agree. It's just the fact that, especially when you look at Son of the Mask and the way they looked at that movie, they didn't mention anything about Jim Carrey at all. This movie, the lines, there's so many lines that when you heard him, you're like, oh my God, dude, this is so cool. And it's his kid. So there's like a real connection. The dad was great in it.
Yep.
No. And like you said, his interactions with the Fish and Wildlife game guy, that was awesome. Him ripping the badge off. Towards the end of the movie, he rips the clip-on tie off. And then he rips the one badge off, throws it on the ground. The guy has another one and puts it on his own. So he was like ready for him to do that.
He stood toe-to-toe to everybody. And again, you mentioned it before. He acted with Robin Williams, one of the best improv people out there. And then he filled Jim Carrey's shoes, who is the best modern guy, improv person. So he filled some shoes, and he held his own. I don't know a lot of 12-year-olds that would have been able to do that.
Yeah, I don't think any. I think that was the only person that could have probably played that role out there. So around that time, just while we're looking before we get in what we would have done to this movie, he was in 3 movies, Jim Carrey, around that time. He was in Yes Man, Horton, Here's a Who, I Love You, Philip Morris, A Christmas Carol, and that was pretty much it around that time.
And you know what? Around that time, to me, is when Jim Carrey's stock started falling.
Yeah. No, he did number 23, but before that, Fun with Dick and Jane is pretty funny.
That was, I think, Fun Dick and Jane, and I think I mentioned this earlier on with Son of the Mask. I think Fun with Dick and Jane was his last it wasn't as good as his older movies, but it wasn't as bad as his newer ones. That was the last good Jim Carrey movie, and then it just started going. So there's no reason why he could have done this.
Oh, I know.
I think his stock already fell a little bit, so he wasn't as big as he was. He should have made a cameo, just for respect wise, because Ace Ventura is what put him on the map.
Yeah.
I know he was in Living Color, but Ace Ventura was his first vehicle. It really put him on the map, and he should have showed his face in this movie, I think.
No, that'd have been cool. Just even a little kind of.
Just what movie was it? I don't know if you remember Robin Hood with Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember who the king was at the end of the movie?
Oh, was it?
Sean Connery.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like he wasn't in the movie at all, and then Sean Connery just rides in for the last like 5 minutes of the movie. You know, that was pretty cool to see him there. You know, that's something like this, like, you know, just see Jim Carrey walk in, or if you really can't get him, like I said, have a guy wearing a Hawaiian shirt, his pants, his hair from the back, and just see him from the back. Just see him from the back. That would have done enough.
Even if he did like a voiceover, like in some studio, and then they just had the back of him. I'm gonna have to say, Yes Man was pretty funny with Jim Carrey.
It was, but it in a way, it was sort of a knockoff of, like, to me, Liar Liar. Like, it was kind of like...
sort of, yeah.
In a way, I mean, like, again, it was similar kind of... It was funny. I mean, I saw them all. I saw 23. You know, it was a creepy movie. You know, I did see Philip Morris. Did you see that one?
No, that was with Two-Face, that actor. I forget his name.
Was it? I think it's based on a true story of the guy with cigarettes, Philip Morris.
Yeah, I think they fall.
He plays a gay character, and he's so over the top. It actually has some funny scenes.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It was Ewan McGregor was Philip Morris in the movie.
He played his boyfriend.
Yeah, no, but all right. So, what would you have done? I know you just mentioned a little bit of it.
You know what? I think that's what I would have done. I would have had some kind of, like, I wouldn't have ended with, like, it's Ace Ventura. You got to bring him back somehow. You know, a phone call or have him at the end of the movie. You know, obviously, if you bring him in too early in the movie, then it becomes about him and not the kid. You know, you want to focus on the kid. But I would say at last 10 minutes of the movie, somehow have him come back into this kid's life and see him, you know, like I said, either someone that I would say from the back, either, like, you know, someone from the back or a phone call to him. I think that really is the only thing. There's really not much to me to change because the kid held his own. They found the right kid for it. You know, it's better than what I expected it to be. So
No, I 100% agree. They could have done like the littlest role, and, you know,
a throwback.
Really cool. Like a little minute. It could have been a minute.
Yep.
Or, yeah, dude, I think that'd have been so awesome. And I just looked it up. Pretty funny. He was in Horton's Here's a Who too. Josh. Yeah, Josh, who played he was the voice of Rudy Kangaroo. Obviously they weren't in the same studio because the way they do this.
Right, sure.
Like, but no, that's pretty funny. And he was in Eternal Sunshine on the Spotless Mind. He was Young Bully. So they have a lot of connections. They just never connected. But
that movie was tough to watch. It was weird. You see that one?
Really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. Tune in next week because we had the opportunity to interview Josh Flitter, local Jersey guy, who for such a young career that he had, he was in a lot of good stuff. Greatest Game Ever Played with Shia LaBeouf, directed by Bill Paxton. So he's like Bill Paxton stories. License to Wed. He has Robin Williams stories because they work together a lot on camera. And yeah, he did a lot of voiceover work, like in they were like kind of like Air Bud movies. They were called like Snow Buddies, Space Buddies. He was a voice in those movies. So he did a lot in a young career, and he's a lot of cool stories, and he's pretty awesome, dude.
You know, and if you look at his Instagram, he does a lot of like short skits and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, songs. So.
And his name is Flitstagram, and I will make sure to include that in the show notes, the episode notes for that one. But yeah, so that's it. Follow us on Twitter at Sequels Only, and tweet at us. Tell us what you think. Recommend some movies. We're reaching out to some people right now and have a couple cool ones on the hook. We have some great movies coming up, which are going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, follow us. Share, tell your friends, review us because it makes us feel better and inside and makes us look better. And that's it. Good night.
Good night.